Hi everybody, Leo Babauta from Zen Habits here. Happy to be here with you. So in this video we're going to talk about boredom, and this is really a guide to boredom, but also to using boredom to benefit your life. Boredom is an interesting topic. I think it's a topic, it is a feeling that most people run from. It's like this thing that they don't want, right? Like, I hear it in my young adult kids. They're like, I'm bored. And I'm like, oh, interesting, right? It's also this thing that we feel like we shouldn't ever be. So we have to like make ourselves live this like interesting, excited life or go to the like interesting things in our devices whenever we feel a tinge of boredom. And so boredom becomes this like negative experience of life that we're running from. That leads to a lot of difficulties. So let's talk about that for a second, and then we'll talk about the benefits of boredom and then how to practice with it. So difficulties, what that means is if we're afraid of boredom, then we might not do the things that might have like even a tinge of boredom. Like for example, let's say I want to study something, and I'm like, oh, cool, I want to study like literature or history or French, and that sounds really cool and interesting. I was like, cool, I'm going to master this cool thing. But then when you start to delve into it, it's like, huh, I have to like sit here and study this, and how freaking boring. And so like you might be able to do that for a little bit, and then eventually you start to avoid it because there's some boredom associated with that. So really like diving into something and not just like leaping around, but really going into something that might have some boredom associated with it is just like, forget that. I don't want to do that. So that's one problem. Another one is if we are afraid of boredom, we run to a distraction and interesting things and busyness over and over and over again, and it becomes almost like an addiction. It's like, a gambling addiction where you can't stop, right? So we can't stop our distractions. We can't stop our busyness. What that means also is we're probably reading less books these days. Not that you have to be reading books, but let's say reading is something you love, and you're like, I haven't been reading for the last 2 years. That's because of this very thing. We're we're chasing distraction and busyness. It means we can't have rest as much as we'd like, or as much as we might need. We can't take breaks and rest because every time we take a break, we're on our computers, we're on our phones. Um, so it's just like we can't allow ourselves to just breathe. Um, it means we kind of have to be pushing ourselves constantly on the hamster wheel. We can't go into deeper focus as well. Writing, for example, requires boredom. And so there's more here. It also kind of leads to a dissatisfaction of life because it's like boredom is really just a dissatisfaction with the moment as it is, which kind of spreads out. It's just like a dissatisfaction with all moments because they're never going to be perfect, right? But let's talk about the benefits. So, benefits of boredom. Let's imagine you weren't afraid of boredom and you're like, you know what? I'm going to let myself be bored a little bit every day, maybe for 20, 30 minutes, maybe for an hour. Maybe some days I'm going to be bold and do a whole afternoon of boredom. And so when you do this, first of all, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be embracing life just as it is. It doesn't have to have anything extra added on to it, some excitement or some kind of like, you know, always partying, always seeing interesting, cool new videos or whatever. We don't always have to be entertained. And so, because of that, you're going to be embracing more and more of life. Sometimes the entertaining part, but also the non entertaining part, the parts where it's quiet, where you're in solitude, where you're in stillness, where there's just not a lot to do, and that allows you to be in a space that isn't filled up. So this boredom actually could lead to us not having to fill that with distractions, not having to be busy all the time. It could lead us to us replenishing ourselves. But one of the things that I think is really incredible is it also really allows us to do some of the deeper work, deeper studying, deeper thinking. So, for example, I'm going to give you a few examples. One is writing. If I don't let myself be bored, I really don't write much. I can force myself to write a little bit in a little bit of pockets for a little bit, but if I really want to have a real writing output where I'm writing a whole book, for example, I really need to let myself be bored. If I allow myself to have that boredom, it's like I'm going to write or do nothing. No entertainment, no reading, no nothing. Just sit here and do nothing and be bored or write. Well, writing starts to become more attractive, but also just becomes something I don't have to run from if it is a little bit boring. So my deeper focus work like writing really requires me to be open to boredom. And the more boredom that I allow and I take on boredom as a practice, when I put it into my day, I am writing more or doing other kinds of deep work like that more. If you're a programmer, same kind of thing. If you want to do like any kind of deep writing or deep kind of work, I believe boredom empowers that. Same thing for reading. If I want to go deep into reading novels and fiction, if I want to go deep into reading nonfiction, um, I really need to allow myself to have some boredom for which, the book then becomes this nice thing to do in the midst of that boredom. Studying anything really, studying chess, studying French, studying history. Um, for me too, I also like to go out for a long walk where I don't bring earbuds. I'm not entertaining myself. I just go out and let myself just be bored out there. Now, being outside and going for a walk isn't that boring to me, but there's some space to just let my mind wander, and I get my best thinking done during that time. I do bring my phone, but only for notes, whether it's a voice note or just type a quick note, and I don't check messages. I don't have like internet on my phone. I just use it to capture stuff so that when I go out, let myself be bored on a walk, I do my best thinking there and I capture some ideas. And it's really like where I do my best thinking. So those are some areas where boredom empowers this deeper thinking, deeper writing, deeper work, deeper learning and reading. Okay, so how do we practice with this? Well, I've kind of hinted at it already, but I really believe in giving yourself some boredom every day. And so that could be in the morning. You just don't let yourself go onto your phone. Have your phone in like shut off mode for a little bit, where you just give yourself half an hour in the morning where there's no like productive thing you need to do. So no yoga, no workouts, no going for a productive walk, no doing some kind of work call. You're just sitting around. You could lay down, you could sit down, you could pace, but there's nothing that you're going to do that feels productive or like self-improvement other than nothing. No anything to relieve boredom. And I would say sit or lay down as much as you can and just let yourself feel boredom and relax into that. So that would be a daily practice. It doesn't have to be in the morning. It could be in the evening. Maybe you do it during your lunch break. It doesn't really matter. Don't be doing something, watching something, eating something, cleaning something. Don't do anything productive. Just let yourself be bored. Do that and then just let it be a thing where you acclimatize yourself to it. If half an hour is too much, do 15 minutes. I do believe that there's a value in once a week giving yourself more, whether that's an hour, 2 hours, maybe a whole afternoon, maybe a whole day with no phones, no devices, no books, no nothing other than boredom, no music. A lot of times people will fill their ears with music even on any little space. Music or social media are common ones. And so, what if you just let yourself go without for a little bit? Okay. Um, Beyond that, I do think that there's also something really beautiful in going deeper into that. I've had people go into, I know people who go into silent retreats once a year, where that's a whole week, where just silence. That will get you bored. I know someone who's gone into darkness retreats where you don't get to see or hear anything. You're just there in darkness. for 24 hours a day. That's also full of boredom. But even if you just go in solitude, out in nature, and don't let yourself be doing something productive, like I'm going to be like whittling or hiking to the top of a mountain. Up a mountain and sit there all day without having to do anything. Move around a little bit if you need to, but not really like trying to get anywhere. So a few days of camping, um, go to a cabin and don't give yourself a bunch of things to do in that cabin. These are the kinds of things you can do that facilitate a deeper appreciation of boredom and the deeper appreciation of life and a deeper ability to sink into the depths that you are craving in your life. Okay, my friends, I will talk to you later. Give this a thumbs up. Like this if this was helpful so others can find it. Give me a comment. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions or objections to any of this. And finally, please do subscribe. I really appreciate every single subscriber. I appreciate that the community has been growing over the last year or two. And share this with anyone who could use some boredom in their lives. Okay, my friends, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.